One of the iconic Milwaukee-based companies is getting a new CEO. Harley-Davidson announced today that Artie Starrs will be taking over October 1st. He's currently the CEO at Topgolf. Prior to Topgolf, Starrs was the global CEO at Pizza Hut. A lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and bring in BizTimes Milwaukee editor Andrew Weiland. So Andrew, Starrs will be replacing Jochen Zeitz, who has led Harley since 2020. Let's talk about the challenges that this new CEO would face, whether or not it was Artie Starrs in this case.
Trying to turn around a declining business, quite frankly. As you mentioned, an iconic Milwaukee company, of course, an iconic brand nationally and internationally. But if you look at their sales results, their profitability, their stock price, it's been a pretty significant decline in recent years. What's happening? You know, one of the big issues, we've talked a lot about it, is Harley's core customer is in that baby boomer generation that's aging out of the sport of motorcycling. They have needed to find younger, newer riders to take their place, and they have struggled to do that. One of the problems, of course, is a Harley-Davidson motorcycle is, quite frankly, a very expensive toy, and not everyone can afford it. But they need to not just sell motorcycles, they need to attract people to the sport of motorcycling just in general.
Now, in terms of what he can do, what Starrs can do to kind of turn this business around, as you were mentioning, this brand, right, to revive it. You've been in the industry for quite some time, and just seeing and reporting on what you know, is marketing enough, or does there have to be another type of tactic to turn this around?
I think marketing is the crux of it, for sure. And you look at this, individual's background at Topgolf, at Pizza Hut, those things don't have anything to do with motorcycles, or, and quite frankly, this is a big manufacturing company. Those things don't have anything to do with manufacturing. He's being brought on for his marketing acumen and the idea that he has experience, selling to consumers, which is very much Harley is a consumer brand, and he's going to need to find a way to sell, again, not just Harley motorcycles, but also the sport of motorcycling. But, it's been interesting to see Topgolf has had its own struggles in recent years with consumers stressed by inflation. Playing Topgolf is kind of expensive too. It's not like buying a motorcycle, but it's an expensive night out. And as people have cut back on discretionary expenses, that's the kind of business that's struggled. So he knows about some of these things. We'll see if he can bring that know-how and turn Harley into a different direction.
Last question, and you kind of mentioned it here a little bit. Starrs' prior experiences in the food and entertainment business. An advantage, disadvantage of hiring someone outside of an industry that you are obviously focusing on?
I think it's a disadvantage, but again, I think what you're really looking for is a marketing person. So it does come in with a fresh set of eyes. I think that's a good thing. Lack of manufacturing know-how or lack of motorcycle expertise. Maybe he's a motorcyclist as a hobbyist, I don't know. But that lack of knowledge or experience is a disadvantage, but I think the important thing is he has marketing experience, and that's what they really need to do, is someone who can sell this product to consumers vis-a-vis their competitors, but then also to just attract new riders, period, to the sport.
All right, you think we'll have a different conversation come a year from now?
For Harley's sake, I hope so.
Okay. All right, Andrew, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.